I've been sleeping with a kitchen knife under my pillow for weeks now, flinching at every shadow, every unexpected sound. Because Owen, the man I nearly married, decided that if he couldn't have me, no one could, and he was willing to go to terrifying lengths to prove it. For the past 4 days, I've been a ghost in my friend Janet's spare bedroom. The blinds stay shut 24/7, and every whisper in the hallway makes my heart jump. My life has become a constant, suffocating fear, a reality I never imagined. It all started 3 months ago, when I finally found the courage to break off my engagement to Owen. We'd been together for almost 5 years, and for the first 3, it was good. I truly loved him. But the moment he slipped that ring onto my finger, it was like a switch flipped. He changed. It felt like he suddenly believed he owned me. The controlling behavior started subtly, almost imperceptibly at first. Little questions about who I was texting, casual check-ins on my location, annoyed reactions if I didn't answer his calls instantly. Then it escalated, the baseless accusations, the constant monitoring of my social media, the unsettling surprise visits to my office. I tried to talk to him, to explain how suffocated I felt. But every conversation twisted back on me, morphing into an argument where I was somehow the one apologizing. Classic gaslighting, a term I understand far too well now. The chilling detail I often leave out is how he'd check my phone while I slept. One night, I woke up to find him scrolling through my messages at 3 a.m., a disturbing, intense look on his face. When I confronted him, he just said he was making sure I wasn't hiding anything because he loved me too much to lose me. And in my ignorance, my profound naivety, I believed him. God, I was so utterly blind. When I finally ended our engagement, his reaction was disturbingly calm. That should have been my screaming first warning sign. Owen never took anything well. But he simply nodded, said he understood, and walked out without a single argument. A wave of profound relief washed over me. I actually thought, for a fleeting moment, that maybe this wouldn't be as messy, as catastrophic as I'd braced myself for. For 2 glorious weeks, there was nothing. Complete silence. No calls, no texts, no unexpected appearances at my apartment. I cautiously started to breathe again, to relax. I even went on a casual coffee date with a colleague from work. Then the texts began. At first, they were subtle, just checking in. How are you? Innocent enough, until they weren't. Soon, he was sending photos of us together, captioned with chilling lines like, "Remember how happy we were?" Then came the truly sinister messages, screenshots of my coffee date's Instagram profile, adorned with ominous question marks. The phone calls followed, dozens a day, always hanging up the moment I answered. His voicemails evolved from mournful to raging, finally settling into a terrifying, unnerving calm. "You'll come back to me eventually," he whispered in one. "We're meant to be together." I've never been more certain of anything. That was the last straw. I blocked his number, every single one of his social media accounts. But he kept finding new ways, emails from new addresses, which I also blocked. Then, notes started appearing on my car. I reported it to my apartment manager, who promised to keep an eye out. Naively, I truly believed I was handling it. I thought I was in control. Then came that Friday. I'd gone home early, with a brutal migraine. I unlocked my door, stepped inside, and an ice-cold dread immediately wrapped around me. My instincts screamed. I almost turned and ran, but my logical mind, paranoia, I told myself, pushed me forward. My bedroom door was closed. That was wrong. I always left it open for airflow. As I pushed it open, my heart didn't just skip a beat, it stopped. Nailed to the wall above my bed was my wedding dress. My wedding dress, the one I'd returned to the boutique months ago. He hadn't just hung it, he'd crucified it. Actual framing nails driven through the delicate fabric, deep into the drywall, holding it spread-eagled, bodice torn open down the middle like a destroyed corpse. But that wasn't the worst part. My eyes fell to my bed. Carved into the wooden headboard, in jagged, angry letters, were 5 words: "You belong to me forever and always." Across my pristine white sheets, what looked like rose petals at first glance, I realized with a shudder, were black. died, or perhaps burned. They left sinister, dark smudges, like fresh bruises, on my comforter. Some were arranged in a macabre heart around my pillow. And on my nightstand, what I'd mistaken for an old engagement photo was something far, far worse. It was a photoshopped picture of my face on a corpse. I was frozen. Couldn't move. Couldn't breathe. My blood ran cold, fear paralyzing me. That's when I felt him. Behind me. I hadn't heard a sound, not a single rustle as he emerged from my closet. His hands were around my throat before I could even gasp, squeezing so tight that black spots danced and consumed my vision. He shoved me onto the bed, on top of those sickening petals, his grip on my neck never wavering. "If I can't have you, no one will," he hissed, his spittle hitting my face. "You think you can just throw away 5 years? You think you can just leave me? I will always find you." I was on the verge of blacking out, my lungs screaming for air, when Janet's dog, my next-door neighbor, started barking furiously in the hallway. The sudden noise, the distraction, made Owen loosen his grip just enough. Just enough for one hand to break free. I always carried pepper spray in my pocket after the stalking began. My fingers closed around it. I twisted, aimed, and sprayed directly into his eyes. He shrieked, a primal, guttural scream of pure agony, releasing my throat as his hands flew to his face. "I swear to God, I'll freaking kill you," he roared, blinded. "You're dead. You hear me? Dead." I didn't grab anything. Didn't stop. I just ran. Out of the apartment, down the stairs, not daring to wait for the elevator. My car, shaking so violently I almost crashed twice, sped straight to Janet's. From her phone, I called the police. They took my statement, meticulously photographed the bruises already blooming dark purple on my neck. They went to my apartment, but Owen was gone. The crucified wedding dress remained. The carved headboard, the horrific photoshopped picture. They documented everything, promising an emergency restraining order. But a piece of paper? Against a man like that? His car was found abandoned near the bus station, but security cameras showed he never entered. His parents claimed ignorance, his friends the same. He had vanished. And I was left jumping at every phone buzz, every shadow. Janet had to buy me clothes and toiletries. I was too terrified to ever go back to my apartment. I've been wearing the same borrowed pajamas for days, haunted by what I saw, by what he did. If you've been listening to this story and are still with me, feeling that knot of dread in your stomach, please take a moment to hit that subscribe button. There are more unbelievable stories coming, and your support helps me keep sharing these experiences. Thank you. 2 weeks later, and while I'm so grateful for everyone's support, I finally had to leave Janet's. She was an absolute angel, but I could feel the strain. Her boyfriend annoyed, me having panic attacks in the next room while she whispered on client calls. I owe her everything. The police, bless Detective Hilda, a woman who looked permanently exhausted but with sharp, knowing eyes, still hadn't found Owen. No credit card activity, phone off, his family and friends all claiming they knew nothing. It was like he'd simply evaporated into thin air. My parents, after I finally choked out what happened, drove down from Indiana. My dad saw the pictures of my neck, now a sickening yellowish purple, and I saw pure murder in his eyes. My mom just cried, asking why I hadn't told them about his controlling behavior sooner. The truth? I was ashamed, embarrassed for being so blind, so stupid. A part of me, a small, twisted part, still blamed myself for making Owen snap. My parents insisted I couldn't stay at that apartment, which, honestly, was already a given. That carved headboard haunted my nightmares. They wanted me to move back to Indiana, but I refused to let Owen take my career, my entire life for me. I'd worked too hard. So we compromised. They helped me find a new apartment across town in a building with key fob entry and security cameras everywhere. They paid the security deposit and first month's rent, despite my protests. "It's the only way I can sleep at night," my dad said. We even bypassed putting my name on the mailbox, listing me as a subletter to keep my address off any searchable records. Moving was its own kind of hell. The police had finally released the apartment, but I couldn't face it alone. Janet and her brother, who's built like a linebacker, came with me. We brought trash bags, intending to save what I could, but honestly, I left almost everything. The furniture, the decorations, most of my clothes. It all felt contaminated, poisoned by his touch. I grabbed practical things, documents, my laptop, some essentials, a few truly sentimental items. But when Janet asked about the framed photos from the living room, I just shook my head. Owen was in so many of them, smiling that smile I once loved. Now, all I could see was his face twisted with rage as he choked me. The wedding dress was gone, taken as evidence, but they left the headboard. Left it, like a trophy. Janet's brother had to physically unscrew it from the bed frame. We took it to an empty lot and set that horrifying thing on fire. Watching those words, "You belong to me forever and always," burned to ash, that was the first moment I felt anything remotely close to okay since this nightmare began. My new place is sparse, cold, but it's safe. I'm sleeping on an air mattress because I can't bring myself to buy a real bed yet. My parents offered to stay, but I told them I needed to figure out how to live normally again. It was a lie. Nothing feels normal. I shower with the bathroom door open. I check under my bed every single night. The worst part, the absolute agonizing worst part, is the waiting. Waiting for Owen to be found. Waiting to feel safe. Waiting for the other shoe to drop, because deep down I know he's not done with me. Then came the day I tried to do something normal. Grocery shopping. First time alone since everything went down. The aisles felt too open, too exposed. And then I felt it. That sickening prickle on the back of my neck.
Someone watching me.
My heart hammered against my ribs, a desperate drumbeat. I slowly turned, scanning, half expecting to see him. Nothing. Just a mom and a toddler by the granola. Paranoia, I told myself. Therapy is supposed to help with this. I turned back to grab a box of Cheerios and nearly shrieked. A small, bright red gift bag, with white tissue paper peeking out, sat in my cart. It wasn't there before. I swear to God it wasn't. I stumbled backward, knocking over a display, boxes clattering around me. The mom with the toddler stared, wide-eyed, like I was insane. I couldn't breathe, couldn't think. Abandoning my cart, I fled the store, checking over my shoulder the entire way to my car. Once inside, doors locked, I called Detective Hilda. An officer was dispatched. They checked security footage, but of course, the cameras conveniently didn't cover that exact spot. But they retrieved the bag. Inside, a jewelry box. And inside that, my engagement ring. The one I'd returned to Owen months ago. Wrapped around it, a small note. Just one word. Soon. The police were taking it seriously now, but what could they truly do? They still couldn't find him. They put extra patrols around my new building, but it felt like security theater. If Owen found me at a random grocery store, he knew where I lived. I became a prisoner again. Food delivered to the lobby, curtains drawn, lights off. I'm typing this from my closet, the only place I feel even remotely safe. The next morning, Detective Hilda called. They'd done another sweep of Owen's old house and found something new. A journal. Pages upon pages of meticulously detailed plans. Different scenarios for reclaiming me, as he called it. Backup plans if I resisted. Some pages even had dried bloodstains. They were testing it. Hilda wouldn't tell me everything, said it would only upset me more, but her voice, it was different.
Disturbed.
And this woman deals with horrific things daily. I couldn't sleep.
Couldn't eat.
There was one entry she did tell me about. Owen wrote that if he couldn't have me in this life, he'd take me to the next one. Detective Hilda confirmed it. They were treating this as a credible threat of murder-suicide. I didn't know what to do. I couldn't live like this, jumping at shadows, waiting. But I refused to let him win, to let him completely destroy my life. I would not be another statistic. Another woman killed by a man who believed he owned her. Almost a month later, and my hands are still shaking as I type this. So many of you have checked in, and you deserve to know what happened next. After the grocery store incident, I became a true prisoner in my own apartment. Remote work, deliveries to the lobby, only leaving for dire emergencies, and never, ever alone. Detective Hilda's updates were always the same. No Owen, no new leads. They were monitoring his bank accounts, social media, family members' homes, but nothing. It was like he had become a ghost, one that was haunting only me. Then the flowers arrived at my work. Not my apartment, my actual office building. Red roses. A card. Missing you more each day. I hadn't been to the office in weeks, and I sure as hell hadn't told anyone there my new address. My boss called, and describing them, I nearly threw up. How did he know? Hilda sent officers, but the florist was just a regular delivery, paid for with a cash-bought prepaid card from 2 towns over. The breaking point arrived a week later. I was video chatting with my mom when an email notification popped up. Unrecognized sender, but the subject line froze my blood solid. Our wedding photos. Shaking, I opened it. A series of photoshopped images flashed before me. My face, edited onto wedding photos with Owen, standing at an altar, cutting cake, dancing. But in every single picture, my eyes were closed, like I was dead. It was the most disturbing thing I'd ever witnessed. Then came the final image. Not photoshopped. A picture of me, asleep on my air mattress, taken through my bedroom window. That morning, he knew where I lived. I completely lost it. A full-blown panic attack. My mom heard me screaming through the video call and called 911 from Indiana. I was hyperventilating so hard I couldn't even explain what was happening when the police arrived. I just shoved my phone at them. They swept the building, the surrounding area. Nothing. Detective Hilda arrived an hour later with news. They tracked the email to a public library computer, 20 minutes away. They were reviewing security footage. I couldn't stay there. Not another minute. I threw essentials into a bag, checked into a hotel under a fake name, paid cash. Only Hilda knew my location. Not even Janet or my parents. I was terrified Owen was monitoring their communications. 3 days into my hotel stay, Hilda called. The news I'd both dreaded and prayed for. They'd identified Owen on the library security footage. He looked different, shaved head, beard, but it was undeniably him. They now had concrete proof he was still in the area, actively stalking me. A formal arrest warrant was issued. They would find him soon, she promised. That night, around 2 a.m., I woke to a soft scratching sound at my hotel room door. Not a knock, not someone trying the handle. Just scratching, like fingernails on wood. I froze, holding my breath, straining to hear. It stopped. Then started again, more insistent. Silently, I grabbed my phone, texted Hilda. She'd given me her personal number for emergencies. Then I snatched the heaviest object I could reach, a bedside lamp, and pressed myself against the wall next to the door, my heart hammering so loud I was sure he could hear it. The scratching stopped again. Then a whisper. So faint I almost thought I imagined it. "I know you're in there, babe.
Just want to talk."
Owen's voice. My hand clamped over my mouth to stifle a scream. Tears streamed down my face. The handle turned, slowly, but the deadbolt held. Then came a harder sound, metal against the lock. He was trying to pick it or force it. "Don't make this harder than it needs to be," he murmured. "We belong together.
You know that.
All this running away is just delaying the inevitable." My phone vibrated. A text from Hilda. "Police are on their way. Stay quiet. Do not engage." Easy for her to say, when she wasn't trapped in a room with a psycho trying to break in. Suddenly, he snapped. All pretense of calm vanished. He started shouting, pounding, screaming for me to open the door, yelling that he knew I was there, that I couldn't hide, that he would always find me. I was shaking so violently I could barely stand, clutching that lamp, ready to swing it if he breached the door. It felt like hours, but was probably only minutes before I heard them. Sirens. Distant at first, then rapidly closing in. Owen heard them too. The pounding stopped. Then, frantic footsteps running away down the hall. I remained frozen until I heard multiple sets of heavy footsteps approaching, then Hilda's voice calling my name. Only then did the lamp clatter from my numb fingers, and I slid down the wall to the floor, utterly spent. They missed him by minutes. Security footage showed him bolting down emergency stairs and out a side exit just as the first police car pulled into the lot. But now they had fresh footage, undeniable confirmation he was still in town, and clear evidence of attempted forced entry. The hunt intensified. Hilda insisted I couldn't stay at the hotel. It was compromised. She suggested a safe house, but something in me snapped. No, I told her. Use me as bait. He's going to keep finding me wherever I go, so we might as well choose where and when. Hilda was skeptical, but after consulting her superiors, they agreed. It might be the only way to catch him quickly before he escalated further. They set up a sting operation at my apartment. I would appear to return home, making it look like I thought it was safe again. In reality, plainclothes officers would be hidden inside and around the building, waiting. 3 agonizing days. 3 days of me going through the motions of a normal life. Walking to a coffee shop, stopping at the corner store, projecting an image of calm, all while wearing a concealed panic button, knowing officers watched my every move. On the 4th day, it happened. I was alone in the apartment, save for 2 officers hidden in the spare bedroom and bathroom, and more throughout the building. I sat on the couch, watching Netflix, trying desperately to appear relaxed, my stomach churning with anxiety. The first sign was so subtle, I almost missed it. The doorknob, turning slowly, testing if it was locked.
It was.
But that wouldn't stop him for long. I pressed the panic button clipped to my waistband, a silent alert to the officers. He was here. Then the distinct sound of a key in the lock.
A key.
He must have made a copy, kept it all this time. The door swung open, and there he was. I barely recognized him. The shaved head, the beard, but his eyes. Those eyes were unmistakable. He carried a duffel bag. My blood ran cold. I didn't want to know what was inside. He greeted me, a chillingly casual. Miss me? Every rehearsed line, every plan I'd made for this moment, vanished from my mind. He stepped inside, closing the door behind him, his gaze never leaving mine. He talked about how difficult I'd been to pin down. How he always knew I'd come back here. Creatures of habit, he called us. I finally managed to croak out. What do you want? He laughed, a humorless, hollow sound.
He wanted what was his, he said.
His life back. The life I destroyed when I threw away 5 years like they meant nothing. He took a step closer, and I fought every instinct to recoil. He continued, in that eerily calm voice, that he'd realized, watching me these past weeks, that I wouldn't come back willingly. I was too stubborn, too proud. So, he had to adjust his plans. He reached for the duffel bag, and my heart slammed against my ribs. Asterisk, where were the police? Why weren't they bursting in? Asterisk, he unzipped the bag, talking about us leaving together, starting fresh, and if I wouldn't be his wife in this life. He pulled out a gun. The room tilted. He said we'd be together in the next one. Just as he raised the weapon, the bathroom door exploded open. Drop the weapon. Police, an officer roared, gun drawn. Owen's face twisted into pure, unadulterated rage. He spun towards me, gun still in hand, screaming that I'd set him up, calling me every vile name imaginable. Everything happened in a blur. Owen lunging toward me. Multiple officers shouting. Then, the deafening, earth-shattering sound of gunshots. I dropped to the floor, covering my head, my world reduced to noise and terror. When I finally dared to look up, Owen was on the ground, shot in the shoulder and leg. Incapacitated, but not fatal. As they dragged him up, he spat at me. I'll find you again. I always find what's mine. Those were the last words I ever heard him say before they took him away. The aftermath has been complicated. Owen was charged with attempted murder, stalking, breaking and entering, and a whole host of other horrific crimes. He's being held without bail, awaiting trial. The evidence against him is overwhelming. The journal, the photos, the emails, the security footage, the gun. He's facing decades in prison. I should feel relieved. I should feel completely safe. But I don't. Not completely. I'm haunted by nightmares of him escaping, of him finding me again. My therapist says it's normal, that trauma doesn't just vanish because the immediate threat is gone. So, I did what I had to do. I moved again. To a different city, far away. I started a new job. I changed my name legally. I deleted all my social media, cut ties with anyone who knew both me and Owen. It feels extreme, like I erased a part of myself, but it was necessary. The prosecutor warned me. Owen has been writing letters from jail, not to me directly, which would violate the restraining order, but to his parents and friends. Letters that talk about when he gets out, about finishing what he started. I'm typing this now from my new apartment in my new city, under my new name. I'm not hiding anymore. I'm just starting over. If there's one profound, agonizing lesson I've learned from all this, it's that you never truly know someone. The man I loved for 5 years, the man I planned to marry, to share my entire life with, he was capable of this level of obsession, this violence, this sheer evil. So please, if you're listening, check in on your friends who've recently left relationships, especially if their ex seemed too calm about the breakup. Trust your gut when someone's behavior feels off. Document everything. And for God's sake, take threats seriously, even the veiled ones. The red flags I ignored, the instincts I doubted, nearly cost me my life. I don't know what the future holds, but for the first time in what feels like an eternity, I believe I actually have one. Have you ever found yourself in a situation where someone you trusted, someone you loved, showed you a side you never knew existed? What did you do? Tell me your thoughts and experiences in the comments below. I'm here to listen.